This is KFDM Sports Extra with Mike Friedman and Cam Sanderson.
Indeed, everyone. Hey, Southeast Texas and beyond, wherever you're listening from or watching us on YouTube. I'm Mike Friedman alongside Cam Sanderson. This is the Sports Extra. Any loyal viewers to KFDM Channel 6 remember the Sports Extra? It was on Sunday nights before your time, Cam. Right. But on Sunday nights, we took more than half of the newscast, the late newscast at 10 p.m. I had 3 segments. We'd bring a guest in. We'd have good back and forth, good talk. The Sports Extra went away back during the COVID year. We weren't allowed to have anyone in studio. So that went away, but here it's back now in the form of a podcast. And since we're here in Southeast Texas, we're going to start this one off with high school football. It is the first week of the high school football season.
Oh, yeah. It's so exciting having it back. I mean, it's been a long off season for sure. And starting off in May, that drought without sports.
Yeah.
And now we're back to it. And it's a lot to get excited about for sure.
Yeah, it's going to be a busy time of the year for sure. We get ready for it. Week 1 of the high school football season. By the time this drops and you're listening to it, it'll be tomorrow. Well, for all but one team. We've got Westbrook that's in action coming up on Thursday night. They'll be in Aldine taking on Eisenhower. And, Westbrook Bruins, they've got some high hopes for this year.
Oh, yeah. I think there's a lot of people that are going to remember how they've been the past few years. But if you look at them now, I mean, Tam Anderson coming in, that's what's exciting for me. His second year under center with varsity. And I think that's a difference maker for that team, is seeing how well he's going to play as the year progresses.
And getting off to a 1-0 start, certainly for Westbrook, would do a lot for their confidence, I can imagine.
Oh, right. And I think that's what they did last year, too. I believe they started off 1-0. So, I mean, you're just taking those non-district wins, obviously, into that tough district would be, more than great for that team.
Yeah, for sure. Also in their district, of course, the other Beaumont school, Beaumont United, they've got a new head coach in Drenard Williams, a local product, a Beaumont native. Coach Colbert was a Beaumont native as well, and he couldn't quite get them over that hump and get them into their first winning season. It's a wait and see if Coach Williams can do the same. But I know United's got some high hopes for this year as well.
Yeah, I mean, like you mentioned, new head coach, and I think that's going to be the big thing, is seeing, is this a culture changer? Is this, going to make a difference for the Timberwolves? Last season, they started 1-0.
Yeah.
And so it's carrying that. I was there for their Jasper game. They came back from down, I believe it was 10-0 at half, came in, won 14-10, and those guys had a playoff mindset at that point. They're like, man, we're going to make that run to playoffs. I think if they take that mindset into this season, new head coach, bringing back the same talent, I think they still have high hopes for both our Beaumont teams, really.
For sure. Beaumont United will play Friday night. They'll be in Houston. They're taking on Houston Bel Air. A little side note with Bel Air, our own Angel San Juan graduated from Houston Bel Air back maybe in the inaugural year. I don't know. It was a long time ago. Anyway, all right. So Houston Bel Air, also in that district, 9-5A Division I, Port Arthur Memorial, they get to be home coming up on Friday night as they'll face Decaney.
Decaney.
That's right, yeah.
And that's a team they opened up against, with a win last year.
Right.
But I think Port Arthur is one of our teams that you got a lot of high hopes for this year. I mean, this is one of the teams that you expect big things from. You got Tank King coming back, Amante Martin coming back, Brock King coming back.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so much talent on that roster. I expect them to even make a push to win district and go pretty deep in the playoffs. So, big week 1 win would be great towards that.
I know Coach Morgan over there has been there, I think it's the 7th or 8th year there now, and certainly they have high hopes. They always want to win the district and go as far as they can in the playoffs. They haven't had as much playoff success as I know Coach Morgan or the team would like in previous years. So hopefully this is their year that they're able to kind of get over that hump.
Oh, yeah, 100%. I could see it happening for sure, especially with that talent on defense.
All right, who should we talk about next?
Oh, we can go ahead. Let's go down to 5A, P&G.
Yeah,
that's
Division
it. They
Yeah.
open up at home against Klein Oak, and that's going to be exciting to see. How do you bounce back? You lose Mason Winchell, you lose Jackson Christian, 2 huge pieces of that team, but you also got good returners. Connor Bailey, who's been under center, it's going to be his 3rd year as their quarterback. You got Aaron Wolford, who is going to be a huge piece on that O-line, and Jackson Winfrey on the defensive side. It's just going to be interesting. I mean, that district is tough, but P&G is tough too, and I expect them to have a good year,
It seems, and this will be the 4th year for Coach Jeff Joseph, it seems since Coach Joseph has taken over, the whole mindset there at P&G is state championship or bust, and I know they were disappointed last year.
Yeah, for sure. Especially, 3 years of Jeff Joseph and 3 years of ending your season with South Oak Cliff, whether that's a win or a loss. I mean, that's who they keep seeing. But yeah, I agree with you. It's a complete culture change over there. It's always been, I'm from P&G, so I know it. It's always been a P&G. It's always been a football school. It's always been, we want to be dominant in this sport. But now it's like man, we expect to go 6 rounds deep. We expect to be playing at Jerry's World. And I think that's a good mentality to have for that area. I mean, they got a lot of talent. And, you bounce out to the other side of the train tracks. Nederland opening up their season against Lumberton, this time on the road last season. Man, what a great
game that was.
I mean, absolutely blew them out 37-0.
Yeah, 2 first-year head coaches last year in that one. I remember at Nederland, that was our game of the week last season. That was a good one, yeah. But Nederland looking to start off the season with a win. Of course, Nederland, the only team during the regular season to beat PNG in that Mid-County Madness game. But, boy, they stumbled towards the end of the year and went from first to fourth in that district and then got one and done in the playoffs. So I know they want to change that.
Oh, yeah, that was the interesting thing. And we talked about this before we went on camera. I mean, they started the year 2-0, a big win against West Orange Stark. They start District 4-0, go into that PNG game and upset the number 1 team in the state.
Yeah.
And it just seemed like something happened where they just kind of, rolled down the hill, and it wasn't the ending that I think a lot of people expected from Nederland. Man, they graduated a lot of guys.
Yeah.
And I think that's going to be the storyline is, you got Coach Rich. It's his second year. And that's one of those guys in Southeast Texas that I feel like you could send him out with 11 new starters on each side of the ball, and I'd still feel confident in that team. Slade Shepard, who was a great DB for him last year, I believe is going to be taking snaps under center. So it's just going to be interesting to see how they work with that team.
Yeah, absolutely. Both PNG and Nederland are still in Region 2. So realignment will be coming up in February. Again, every 2 years, the UIL realigns the teams. They put them in Region 2, which means whether it's PNG or Nederland, they'll have to get most likely through South Oak Cliff in a regional championship game before even thinking about getting to state. So again, they're in a tougher region once they get, deep into the playoffs, and hopefully both those teams do well.
Right, yeah. And then, on the other side of that Nederland game, we got Lumberton, who, once again, second-year head coach. And, I mean, I think there's a little bit more excitement coming into Lumberton this year compared to last year. I have a lot of high hopes for that team. Yeah. I know you do, too. It's going to be interesting. I think Chase Williams, who is now a 4-year starter at running back, that's going to be a big piece for them. I believe his name's Nolan Mitchell, their quarterback, who I think got injured earlier in the season, and so they went the whole year without him. He's back now. And so that's one of those teams where I think they can make a push. They had a down year last year, but I think we could expect them to, make a postseason run even.
Yeah, that sure would be nice. They had a disappointing season last year, 3-7 only in Chase McDonald's first season there in charge of the Raiders over at Lumberton. So, all right, we'll move on to our next game.
Yeah, let's talk about Orangefield and Woodville. I mean, you're talking about a state finalist team in Woodville, 13-3 season from them. Obviously, that's got to go down as one of the most exciting seasons from a team. No one expected it, and I'm not afraid to say that. They made a big run, and that was great for them. And you got Orangefield, who is coming off of an undefeated district championship. They're returning 2 big pieces, Mason Manning and Caleb Menard.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of excitement for both of these teams.
Also, Jeff Bros, second year in charge there at Orangefield. So second year, he's more familiar with the guys. They're more familiar with him. The program will be clicking. They do have a lot of experience back. So, yeah.
I think, and that's a big thing is Woodville lost that. New head coach. They lost a lot of big hitters. I mean, Luke Babin comes back, and that's going to be a big piece for their offense. But I think the hole that you're going to struggle to fill is Tavion Hunters.
Yeah.
And, that was a guy last year when they played. It was a 27-7 win for Woodville because Tavion Hunter took over that game.
Yeah.
And so it's going to be interesting seeing how the Eagles come into this season and, replace that and move forward without him. I know that's the nature of the game in high school football, but, man, Tavion Hunter, he was definitely a big hitter for any team in Southeast Texas.
I agree. It's tough. Every year you've got to replace some players, and that all teams go through that. So it's a wait and see who comes out on top on Friday night and the rest of the season. Hopefully both teams, best of luck to both of them. It should be a good game. Another big game coming up for us in week 1 on Friday night, of course. It was a Mud Bowl game last year. It was at Hampshire Fannett, LCM at Hampshire Fannett. This year it's at Battle and Bear Stadium, so it's turf there. So it could be wet Friday night, but that won't matter in this game as long as there's no lightning to delay things. But Hampshire Fannett and LCM, these two are gonna fight down to the final play probably.
Oh yeah, and absolutely. 2 of our most impressive teams last year. Yeah. 2 district champions, and it's just gonna be exciting seeing these two go against each other with hopefully without the weather as a problem. Last year, I don't know, I wasn't at that game, but from what I had heard and from what I had seen, that was a struggle moving the ball down the field because it's so awful out there. The weather was terrible. Both these teams are coming in. Hampshire Fannett is exciting because they lost a lot of guys, but they have a lot of guys to be excited about coming in.
Sure.
Pierce Pirtle's back, which was a huge piece of their offense, and I expect him to be the same. New quarterback Similar to Woodville, you lose your Willie Ray Smith Award winner. And so now they got to move in with Blake Broussard, who I feel like is going to be a talented quarterback, and he gets to work with his buddy Dwayne Long, who that's going to be, I think, probably one of the best connections over the next 3 years. They played together on JV. Dwayne got, brought up to varsity.
Sure.
He made some big plays for them, and now he gets to get back with his quarterback. These guys grew up together. I'm really excited to see how they get things going.
Something to look forward to for sure. Yeah, very good. All right, we should talk also about Newton and West Orange Stark. It's actually our game of the week.
Oh, yeah. That's a big one right there.
Yeah.
I mean, the two of the most historic programs in our area.
Two state-ranked teams in this one. Newton ranked 5th in 3A Division II, and West Orange Stark ranked 8th in 4A Division II to start the year. So two state-ranked teams. West Orange Stark got the better of the Eagles in Newton last year, and I know the Eagles have not forgotten about that.
Oh, no. And I mean, you come into the season with guys like KJ Porter, who is going to continue to be great. Last season, 2,200 yards. Let me check. I think it was, 36 touchdowns.
Yeah.
Now, that is an insane amount of touchdowns from a running back. That guy is a beast, and I think that's what's going to be exciting is watching him and then Fontenot for West Orange Stark's defense. Those guys going at it. I think that's going to be kind of the deciding factor. Can West Orange Stark slow down KJ Porter?
Sure.
How do they battle?
Yeah, should be good. All right, that's week 1 of the high school football season, and we'll talk about some more things in just a bit.
And now, the Sports Extra Countdown.
All right, now we're going to talk about our preseason top 6 teams, high school football teams, heading in to the new 2025 season. All right, Cam and I have both picked our top 6, and I guess we'll start with me. My 6th place team, my top 6, my 6th place team, the Orangefield Bobcats. We talked a little bit about the Orangefield Bobcats. Jeff Bro's second season in charge of the Bobcats right there. An 8-win team from last year, district MVP and running back Mason Manning back. Carson Gonzalez back at quarterback as well. He's just a junior. I think Orangefield not only will win the district, they can take it the next step. I do think they're not going to be one and done in the playoffs by any means.
Yeah, I agree. And actually, that's who I got at number 6 as well, Orangefield. Okay. I think that's one of those teams that, like you mentioned, I don't think they're going to be one and done.
Right.
And I think they can take that next step, win a couple playoff games. Mason Manning is, I genuinely don't know how you stop that guy.
Yeah.
I mean, I've watched highlights of him. I've watched him in person, and it is ridiculous watching what he does. But on the other side of the ball, I don't hear enough love for Caleb Menard around the area. And that guy is a freak of nature. I mean, you go watch through, and he will absolutely tear up any offense he needs to. Mm-hmm. I mean, these bone-crushing blows I watch him. He is an absolute beast on the defensive side for them. I'll bounce over to my number 5. Okay. This one's a little interesting. They're coming off of a district championship, Hampshire Finette, the Longhorns. Honestly, I think they'd be higher for me if they were returning more guys. Mm-hmm. That's the struggle for me is you lose 2 big pieces on that O-line. You lose Ty Bryson.
Right.
You lose Braxton Starnes. You lose a lot of guys, and it's going to be interesting seeing how they bounce back, especially in the toughest district in the state. You got West Orange Stark, Silsbee, Jasper, and how they can handle those teams with these new guys is going to be interesting to watch with, all this young talent.
Yeah, absolutely. Well said. You mentioned a tough district. I also have a team in my 5th place spot from their district, West Orange Stark. Now, West Orange Stark, a 9-win team from a year ago. How can they make the top? My top 6, well, I think West Orange Stark will have experience back on both the O-line, the D-line, their defensive backfield as well. State ranked, as I mentioned, 8th in 4A Division II to enter the season. I expect big things from West Orange Stark this year, and who knows, maybe they'll climb up my list as the season goes on.
Right. Let's hear. I mean, you got number 4. Let's hear what you got there.
All right. Number 4, I've got the LCM Battling Bears. Yeah, the defending district champs out of that district there. And I think Coach Peavy's got the right, is going to have them in the right attitude, the right mind frame. He's going to put the right game plan together. I do see the LCM Battling Bears as one of those teams to really reckon with this season.
Right. It's hard to even expect them to have a down year. I mean, they undefeated in district, and that's an impressive feat in that district. You got some good teams in there, a lot of our local teams in there. So, 100% could see it from them. For me at number 4, I'm going with the Newton Eagles. And I think that's one of those teams that every year, no matter what, they should be top 6. That's not even a question. Like I mentioned, historic program, arguably the greatest program we have in Southeast Texas football history, but it's KJ Porter. I mean, that guy is an absolute beast. Once again, you talk about Mason Manning, KJ is one of those guys. Yeah. I don't know how you stop him. He's like a bowling ball running through these guys. 36 touchdowns. I've never heard of that in a single season. 36 touchdowns is ridiculous, and I think he's going to be the face of this team. But you also talk about, they have a decent amount of returners coming back. 14 guys returning, 6 on offense, 8 on defense, and I think that's what you have to get excited about with Newton. They got so many guys coming back, especially their big talented guy in KJ. Mm-hmm. I have a lot of high hopes for that Eagles team right there.
I agree with you. You'll see here in a minute. Yeah.
All right, for me at number 3, we're keeping it in the purple teams. I'm going with the P&G Indians. Obviously, like we mentioned earlier, a lot of guys that are talented returning, but you do lose some guys that I think were big pieces of that team last year. Mason Winchell, I think it's going to be interesting to see how they move forward without him. London Nunley graduated.
Right.
Jackson Christian, who is he's in Austin right now, University of Texas.
Yeah.
You don't just get there on accident. Easily one of the best offensive linemen in the state. But what they have for them is a quarterback coming into his 3rd year as a starter, a quarterback who doesn't really know how to lose. I believe he has 2 career losses right now. So, you talk about a guy like Connor Bailey, how he can lead a team. That's exciting. Tyson Henry in the backfield, who started to shine and show a little life there. He's got a lot of guys. Jackson Winfrey, who I'm excited about. In the P&G O-line, it's never bad. Yeah. It has not been bad, especially since Joseph has been here. That has been the focal point of that P&G team, and I expect it to continue.
For sure. All right. Well said. My number 3 team, the Port Arthur Memorial Titans. We talked about the Memorial Titans earlier. Expectations always high there in Port Arthur. The Titans, though, they fell in the area round last season, and I know they're disappointed with that. I believe they'll have more success. Senior running back Amonte Martin expected to do great things. They also have a senior running back in Alex Eugene, and they have a relative of Landon Roberts there as well. Kayvon Roberts, a senior receiver for the Titans. And I know I spoke to Landon over the summer, and his nephew there is expecting big things with the Titans. So.
Yeah, that'd be exciting. Yeah. Right? I guess I expect, like you said about Newton, I expect good things from the Titans as well.
All right, my number 2 team will be, I'll go with that purple team, the P&G Indians as well. One thing you didn't mention, Jeff Joseph. I think since Jeff Joseph is there, you talk about losing Mason Winchell, Jackson Christian, or these guys. Coach Joseph has done that, been there, done it before, knows the right pieces to put in place to, if you don't have another Mason Winchell, he'll find something else that will equal that and it'll lead to some success. So I have confidence in Coach Jeff Joseph that he'll be able to get the job done.
Right. That's a good point. You're right. I did not mention that. I mean, we talked about P&G earlier. The standard is now becoming their state championship, and that's because of Coach Joseph.
Correct.
I mean, that was not the standard my whole life. Yeah. I grew up going to P&G games. Even when Rashawn was there, it wasn't like, we're thinking state championship.
Right.
Now it's like you could throw any guys in there, and it's like, we expect to be there in December.
Yeah.
So, that's a good point, 100%. Let's move to my number 2 team, and I'm going with the team you got at 5, West Orange Stark. Man, I expect a big year.
Yeah.
And that's one again, we just talked about P&G, the standard of state championships. Mm-hmm. That has been the standard with West Orange Stark throughout the history of their program.
Absolutely.
We should be in a state championship. We should be competing for championships. I think it's getting to the point where they're going to get back to that. They came off of back-to-back down years, but last game of the season, they were fighting for a district championship. And if it wasn't raining, I don't know. Maybe we're talking about their district champions. Who knows? I mean, that's how those games go. Weather can cause problems. Especially with them in Hampshire, it's one of those where it's just anything can go differently. We could have had a different outcome. But, West Orange Stark coming into the season, I mentioned Fontenot earlier, and I think that's going to be a big piece is how good their defense is. Coach mentioned to me, we're going to lean on our defense, and I think 100% they should do that. They're going to be exciting. They got some good pieces returning that, I think can give them the edge in that district.
Not a bad year to lean on your defense. And as they say, defense wins championships. So best of luck to Hampshire for that. All right.
All right. And like our
go to your number 1.
I'm going to keep talking about defense because we're talking about the Memorial Titans.
All right.
And like I mentioned to you earlier, Tank King, Brock King, that is a scary duo to have on your defense. Amonte Martin is an absolute beast at running back. Right. I really believe that this is the year that Memorial really has that talent to make a run. I think they come into the season as the best team. I don't think there's a team in Southeast Texas that goes in and could I think you'd get a close game at a Memorial, but I don't think there's anyone here that can take them down pretty comfortably. I think Memorial is by far our best team in Southeast Texas.
All right, well said. I don't argue, but my number one team is another purple team right there, the Newton Eagles. Newton, what can't you say about the Newton Eagles? 73 straight district wins. They're going to do it again this year. They've done it for the last decade or more. Newton just doesn't lose. They play football. That's what they do there in Newton, and they do it well. I know Coach Drew Johnston's got those guys hungry. They lost to West Orange Stark in the season opener last year. I know they don't want that to happen again. They're going to come out for it coming up on Friday night.
Yeah, 100%. I think Newton's one of those teams that we could see a state run out of. So I agree with you in a sense. I really think, honestly, the top four for me are interchangeable. I don't know. I don't speak for you as well, but I will say on my part, I could have put any of these guys at number one and felt confident in that. So, I mean, Newton, I expect a big year out of them too.
Yeah, for sure.
So, I mean, hey, we can keep this going. Let's just bounce over to our next segment because we're going to talk about some teams that we think might have that comeback year, might have that bounce back year. We're going to talk about our next step team. So this is referring to teams that maybe had a down year last year that we think, hey, you're going to get a little better this year. I expect more out of you this year. So I'm going to, go ahead and open it up with mine.
Absolutely.
Number one, it's got to be Westbrook.
Right.
The Bruins are coming into the season with a lot of talent. There's so much excitement around this team, and I can't say that I've really felt that in the past 2 years, but Tam Anderson is that guy that is going to be such an insane talent to watch in Southeast Texas. I mean, it's literally our own Lamar Jackson. It's so excited. There's so much junior talent that they have there that they have a good year to build off of that. I think they make the playoffs for the first time in a while and have a winning season. And then you can go into next year building off of that, and they might even be even better. But I have a lot of confidence in Westbrook this year.
No argument here as you reveal one of my teams that I have making the biggest move, the Westbrook Bruins as well. One thing Coach Chuck Langston said when we talked to him during practice was that he was the most excited about this team he has now than he's had in all his 5 years there at Westbrook. Now, I know he's got a lot of talent there. They expect big things. I don't think Westbrook's a 4-win team this year. That's how many games they won last year. I do think Westbrook's going to take that next step. And like you said, they're going to be one of those playoff teams.
All right. Go ahead. Let's go talk about your second one right here.
All right. The Bridge City Cardinals. I know it's hard to think about the Bridge City Cardinals as a team that's going to make a move, considering Bridge City did win 8 games last season. They didn't win their district championship. Of course, that LCM won the district title in that district. Bridge City is going to be out for it this year. I do think with Coach Josh Smalley now in his second year at Bridge City, his 20-somethingth year coaching here in Southeast Texas, but just his second year there at Bridge City, he's more familiar with the talent he has there. They're more familiar with him. I think you see in a head coach, and we've got a lot of coaches going into their second year, from the first year to their second year, you're going to see more of the coach's stamp on that program. I think Coach Smalley's going to get those Cardinals in the right direction.
Yeah, I think Bridge City's one of those teams that if we did, hey, here's our top 4, I probably would have slid Bridge City in there. I mean, I have a lot of high hopes for them too. Josh Smalley is an amazing coach, and we know that for sure. For me, my second team, Hardin Jefferson. And listen, I have had a lot of arguments about this one. To be completely honest with you, there are people that disagree with me everywhere, but I really think this year is a winning season for the Hawks. And if it's not a winning season, it's still a playoff season. The beauty of that district is it's the one with Bridge City. Right. You have Bridge City, Huffman, and LCM, who are all guys that are arguably probably going to always fight for the top 3 spots. Sure. That 4th spot is coveted between Vider, Lumberton, and HJ. And it's exciting to see who can come out of that and fight for it. And I think this year the Hawks are finally going to take that next step. I think they're finally going to be a playoff team. Hayden Henry is going to be a impressive piece for that team. It's one of those teams, I can feel it. Like I'm out there at practice, and it seems like a completely different energy than it has been in the past.
It's good to hear. I mean, it's a wait and see. HJ is going to have to fight for it here. In recent years, they've fallen short. So hopefully maybe this year they'll taking that next step, and they're one of the 4 playoff teams out of that district.
Right. And I'm going to bounce off of that again because, you talk about they made, for 7-on-7, they were in that state tournament. And a lot of people, I bring that up and they're like, oh, whatever. But, you might have said the same thing about Hampshire Finette last year.
Sure.
They go and win it. And they were one of the best teams in 4A football, not just one of the best teams in Southeast Texas. So I'm expecting that from HJ too. I think really we could have a big year out of them. We'll go down to my third and final team. Yeah, it's kind of like Bridge City for you. It's like, man, what does West Orange start doing on the next step team? But like we mentioned, the standard there is state champions. They haven't won a district championship in a little bit. I think this is a year that stuff finally starts flowing for them. I expect the district championship out of West Orange start. They have the pieces. I would be beyond shocked if they don't compete for it. I expect that last game of the year, once again, to be a battle for district. But I think their season goes longer than that. I really and truthfully believe that we have 6 weeks of playoff football from the Mustangs. I think they can make that trip to Jerry's World. And if they make it there, I'd be shocked if a team like West Orange Stark doesn't leave with a trophy.
All right. Well, a lot of West Orange Stark fans would be happy to hear about that. All right. Let's see my third team out of this taking the next step. Lumberton had a down year last year. Coach Chase McDonald's first season in charge of the Raiders there last year. They won just 3 games last season. That's not what the Raiders are out to do. They're not going to win just 3 games this year. I do think they're going to take the next step. They're going to fight like we talked about with HJ. They're going to fight with the Hawks for a playoff spot. I don't know that they're going to be back in the district title hunt. They did play LCM in the final game of the season last year, pretty tight just down towards the end there. So they're starting to put it together. I do think in Coach McDonald's second season there in charge of the Raiders, look for the Raiders to take that next step.
Yeah, absolutely. And like we mentioned earlier, you got a quarterback coming back from injury, and Nolan Mitchell's been putting a lot of work in the offseason. I pay attention. I watch these guys on social media, watch the camps they're going to and all that stuff, and he's been around. So I'm expecting big improvement, not only improvement, but just the fact that he's on the field is going to be improvement for them. And then it's just there is talent there, and I agree with you. It really is. In that district, I think there's a lot of guys that maybe had a down year last year that we could expect this year to come in and have a great one.
For sure. All right. Those are our 3 teams that are going to take the next step in the 2025 high school football season.
Hey, that's going to wrap it up for the first ever KFDM Sports Sector, well, at least in podcast form, first time since it's come back. I'm excited for this going into the season. I think this is something that we can have a lot of fun with.
Hey, all season long, we're going to be talking high school football, Lamar football, Southeast Texas sports, right here on the KFDM Sports Extra podcast. Thanks for listening from wherever you are.
Thanks for watching the KFDM Sports Extra with Mike Friedman and Cam Sanderson.